we have to have a particular way that we look at ourselves and our approach to training and preparing ourselves. And we need to start off with one thing. Are you ready? You need to start off by saying, Chris has heard this, I think, I'm an open water swimmer. You have to start with it and then work yourself backwards. That's good.
That is,
what is
wow.
That? Is that somebody's phone?
It's a car wreck in reverse, I believe. No, it sounds like a ghost radio, like a, very strange.
So you need to start off. You need to start off by saying, I'm an open water swimmer. Because here's what my observations have been and what people have told me over the years. You get to the start line with your 200 to 2,500 of your best friends next to you, and you say, I just gotta get to my bike. Am I right? I just gotta get through this and get to my bike. Well, that's not the lens you need to be looking through, not if you want to have a good swim. So you have to start off by saying I'm a water swimmer, and that's one thing to make the affirmation and say I am. The next thing is then to go execute upon it. And the execution comes in, well, there's a guy by the name of Gerry Rodrigues that happens to run Wednesday morning workouts in the summertime for 6 or 7 months, every single Wednesday. If you go through one full season of doing those workouts, you'll have more skills than 99% of triathletes racing today. Most don't have any open water skills. So it's how you look at yourself and what you say you are, and then you work towards making it happen. It's pretty simple stuff. When you wake up in the morning, when you get ready to go to work, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, oh, I'm a piece of crap. Well, you're going to go through the day being a piece of crap, you know? So it's, Michael Phelps didn't wake up 8 times, and it's a whole lot more than 8 times. He won 8 Olympic gold medals, but he raced in the prelims, the semifinals, and the finals. He had 17, I think it was 17 or 18 races at the Olympic Games. You think you can wake up in the morning and look at the mirror and say anything other than, I'm the best athlete in the world? That's where it starts, and you have to start with that attitude.
Race prep.
Race prep. And then finally, the last one was nutrition. You guys have Phil's name, and nutrition. All of the training that you do needs to be supported, by the way, with a very, very sound nutritional program. It's not my area of expertise. I have enough information on it as an athlete and as a coach, but go see a professional on it. Very, very important.
Can you hold this for a moment? That's me.
So let's talk about race preparation. Here's what happens, my observations at races that I've been to and watched, and most people do at a triathlon. And nothing's changed, by the way, for 30 years. I remember going to the first triathlon races in LA. Benelli actually was one of the first races around. And what's the second leg? It's the bike, right? What's the first leg? It's the swim. People spend all their time in the transition area tinkering with everything on their bike, making sure that mat's set up right, the towel is set, everything's perfect. And then they go, oh, race starts in 5 minutes. I get my wetsuit on and go down to this race start. No warm-up, no preparation, but stuff's ready for their bike. Because they're at the start line going, I just got to get to my bike. Right? And that's how it's been for 30 years, and it hasn't changed for the most part. So if you want to have a good swim, you need to take care of all that stuff on your bike sooner. If you need to spend all that time on your bike, you go ahead and spend it. But back up your timeline. Be one of the first people that in the transition once it opens, and it's even better if they let you rack your bikes at nighttime, so you don't have to spend as much time. And then get there early, go understand and learn the course, find out everything there is to know about the swim course, and then go for a warm-up. How many of you guys have been to the Wednesday morning swims with me? That's the warm-up you need to do. Go for a short run, get your core warm, especially if the water temperature is cold. Get your wetsuit on, get in the water and swim. If you can swim to the first buoy, that's helpful, so you can get to see and see the course from water level. Take your goggles off, look around, learn the landmarks, spend several minutes in the water warming up, get familiar. Get out, get dried off, get ready to race. You are now ahead of almost every other competitor in the field because most of them are in the transition on their bike, fixing everything. And this little nugget, guys, I call it a little nugget, it's not a big deal. It's common sense, it seems simple, but why is everybody in the transition area? I'm not getting ready, I'm warming up for their swim. And then, by the way, here's what happens. Horn goes off, gun goes off, boom, gone. Swim those first 100 yards, all out. No warm up, cold water. Didn't practice any open water swimming that season. 250 to 500 to 2,500 of your closest friends around you. What do you think happens? Wetsuit all of a sudden becomes too tight. It wasn't tight in the beginning. So it's lack of preparation, and we didn't go through the series of steps. How many of us have run a 5K or 10K or a half marathon or marathon race independently of a triathlon? Did you go to the start line with no warm-up? None at all? And when the gun went off, did you run the first 800 meters all out? Why do we do it in triathlons? I could never understand it. So that's the formula for failure. Doing it that way. Do it the other way. Introduce a small warm-up and get yourself prepared. You'd be more prepared than most others doing the race.
You mentioned seeing the course at water level.
Yes.
Swimming to the first buoy.
Yes.
At Desert Tri last year, the sun rose right behind the first buoy. Thing was invisible when
Yes.
the race started, so that's important.
Important.
I also learned that you always check out the finish when you're coming out
Yes.
for holes and rocks, because sure enough, a guy broke his toe once
Yep.
at Ventura, and at Finale, somebody cut their foot on the grass, on glass, because he didn't get all the way to the mat.
What Jackie's basically saying, basically saying is more information. The more information you have, the more familiar you are. The more familiar you become, the more comfortable you are. The more comfortable you are, the more in control and managed you are of what you're going to be executing. You manage the event rather than the event managing you. Yes?
No, I did it, the half, it was a lake swim, and they didn't allow anyone in the water.
Yeah.
So
Find a
what
way
would
to
you? Well, I mean,
I
they
didn't
would,
say that. I've been to many races. I've probably raced 300 or 400 open water races in my lifetime. There have been races where the course is closed. I have yet to see an official come after me in the water. There are places you can walk around and get out of the view or the range of where the swim is and find a place to swim. If you absolutely can't, and it's like the U.S. border, we have a border that's well protected, right? So if it's well protected, which it usually isn't, but let's say it is and you can't get in, that's why you purchase those $13 bands.
I was gonna-
Yep, they should be with you. You're lugging around your $8,000 bike and a big bike case, paying $250 transport fees. Put the bands in your bag and take them with you and wrap them around the car, wrap them on one of the fencing and do some bands for a few minutes and get warmed up.
So basically, go on a run, come back, and then do
Right,
some
and
band
when you're
stretches.
jogging or running for the purpose of warming your core up, especially if the water is cold. If it's not cold, you don't really need to run, unless you want to.
What about in the case where you're doing like Alcatraz and you're going
Tough,
onto a boat
right.
and you're on a boat for
Yep.
20 minutes before you're even getting
Yeah.
in the water?
Good point. It's impossible to get a warm-up, actually. You get about 30 seconds jumping